Hi kiddos, welcome back to a video about our saint of the week. This doctor of the church, and remember doctor means a great teacher, someone who's taught us something really essential to our understanding of God, is named St. Peter Canisius, and he lived in the 1500s, so that means about 1500 years after Jesus. Okay, before we learn about him, let me show you a picture of this great saint. You will notice that he is all in black. You will notice that he is writing as he looks up as if he's being inspired from heaven. And you will notice he has a statue near him of Our Lady. So this saint was born at a very important time in history. And some of my first graders might remember that in the 1500s is when Our Lady of Guadalupe happened. It's when the Battle of Lepanto happened. And it's also a sad time. Those good events happened after this not so good event, when Martin Luther left the Catholic Church. So he decided that he didn't believe the teachings that had been passed down for 1500 years, and he essentially broke the church. Okay, so Martin Luther made it so we had a broken church, and around the time that happened, St. Peter Canisius was born. And this points again to God always having a perfect plan, because as this bad moment is happening that makes Jesus' heart very sad because he wants us all to be together, he sends us someone who's going to help that happen, bring some people back to being united. So St. Peter says that when he was a kid, he had a temper and he would get jealous and he would speak out when he shouldn't have. But he also says he loved to play being a priest. So he would spend his time singing and praying. And it was kind of a game for him, but he was kind of learning the life of a priest at the same time. Now, in the 1500s is when the Jesuits started. And if you remember, this was the great St. Ignatius who wanted to be a soldier and went to war. And then after he got hurt in war, actually became a soldier for God and wanted to raise up an entire army of soldiers out there saving the world for God. And he started the Jesuits. And so St. Peter, when he grew up, became one. And he spent most of his life in Germany. And Germany is where where Martin Luther was from, the man who had kind of broken the church. So a big part of the break was happening in Germany. A lot of the Germans followed Martin Luther, but now we had St. Peter Canisius, who went there to live a holy life. He helped found 40 Jesuit colleges. So these would be colleges where people would go learn all the truths that had been undone. He wrote catechisms to answer questions. So some of the things that Martin Luther said in the Reformation were things like the Eucharist is Jesus, but it's only Jesus for a little while, and then it just changes back to bread. And guys like St. Peter Canisius would come in and say, no, that's not what has always been taught from the time of the apostles. Once that bread becomes Jesus, it's always Jesus, and that can't be changed. And he would write and explain to people what the church had always believed and why it was the truth. He was also a great preacher, and that means when he would talk about the Bible and teach people about it, it was so amazing that people would kneel down. And usually when we kneel, it means we're worshiping God. And so it was almost like their hearts were moved to worship just listening to St. Peter. Okay, so this man did a great job teaching, and the Jesuits were known for teaching. He taught people, especially in Germany, the truths that they had stopped hearing or had never learned about the Catholic faith. Okay, so that's St. Peter. Now for kinders, I will write it in print. St. Peter Canisius. And then on the back, I will put it in cursive for my firsties. There's St. Peter Canisius. Okay. And then in cursive, St. Peter Canisius. There you have that. Now let's draw him. So I told you at the beginning that he was wearing all black. That was the habit of the Jesuits. So we will draw him in all black today. And then one of the big things he did was write down the truths. So I've got him here. Drew his head, neck, and he kind of is wearing a Jesuit cape as well. So you can have that. I'm going to make him writing. He had one hand kind of over his heart, so I'm going to do that. I'll show you how I do it. You kind of find where his heart would be. Think of when we say our Pledge of Allegiance at school. Okay. So So you do a hand coming across like that. And I'm going to make his other hand going out like this. So following the same diagonal lines. And holding a feather quill, because that's what they had back then. So, we'll get our quill going. Okay. Okay. There is his hand holding the quill. Okay, and then we'll go up and up and make the sleeve, his arm, okay? He's got long sleeves on, so we'll do that. So I just did a line across his wrist to show its long sleeves. And then to show the cape that he's wearing, I'm going to draw the little upside down rainbow at the top. And then I'm going to do this. Okay, so if you look, I did one line down here, going over this hand over his heart, and then one line coming down over here. And then we'll go back and make this side of his body. Okay? So there we have it. There's that, there's that. He's getting ready to write, and then we need to give him ears and eyes and a nose. It looks like he has a mustache and a beard and some hair. He's not one of our bald saints. Okay? Mustache, beard. There we have it. So there is St. Peter Canisius holding his feather pen, getting ready to write down truths about the faith. You can make all of his clothes black, okay, and then his hair was dark brown. All right, so there is St. Peter. I hope you enjoyed hearing his story and how he was born at just the right moment in history when God needed him. And that should remind all of us to always be asking God what he wants for us, because this might be our moment in history where he's called us to be one of his great saints. All right, bye.